We stay moving, we stay light, we stay agile. Yeah. The conductor's gonna come through, taking tickets. We tell him we're going to the bathroom.
Bathroom.
He gets to the back of the train, he's gonna start heading towards the front looking for stragglers.
Sorry, we're the stragglers?
Yeah, by the time he gets to the front, the train's gonna be in the station and we're home free.
This is so fucking stupid. Tickets are probably like $12.
That's the principle of the thing. We shouldn't have to pay for train tickets in Poland. This is our country.
No, it's not. It was our country. They kicked us out because they thought we were cheap.
A real pain. So this focuses on two cousins, Benji and David, who are both Jewish, who go on a pilgrimage to Poland, primarily Warsaw, to see their grandmother's kind of journey through the Holocaust and so forth and so on. And also they go on a tour guide in Warsaw itself, and to get a Jewish experience, so to say, really. So this film is directed by Jesse Eisenberg, who stars in it as well as David. But Alex, what did you make of this film when you were walking in to the cinema?
Yeah, this is a film that is very much like, it's almost like a Woody Allen film. I felt like it's heavy on the dialogue, very well acted. Always has a moral story or something that is a complex subject, let's call it, which is in this case is like you said, the Jewish experience in Hungary. And these guys and it heavily relies on actors to deliver the film essentially, and this does that very well.
Look at this shit. We'd probably live here if the war didn't happen. Isn't that fucking crazy to think about? Seriously, like, we think of ourselves as these like very American creations, you know? And I guess that we are. I guess that's like the essence of America. People created from other cultures, but like in some parallel black hole universe, you and I are Polish and we probably got like long beards and we can't shake hands with women.
Yeah, that's funny. You know, every time I see like one of those Hasidic guys on the street, I always just think like, there, but for the grace of no God, go I, you know?
What?
Oh, nothing. It's just like a dumb joke.
Oh, that's cool, man. Shit, look at her.
Who?
That woman, Marcia. She's walking alone. We should go talk to her.
We just met her.
Yeah, but she's got this like deep sadness behind her eyes, you know?
She does?
Yeah, you didn't notice that?
During the introductions? No.
I think we should check on her.
Benji, maybe she wants to be alone.
Sorry. No one wants to be alone, Dave. Okay, I'm gonna check it out. Hey, why are you walking alone? Are you a big fucking loser?
Seriously?
Yeah, you're like interesting.
I really enjoyed Benji's. I think even though they're both sort of the same, let's call it, time on the screen, I think Kieran Culkin nails it here because his character is so complex. They have a lot of backstory and background between these two cousins, and you know he's obviously they had some trauma in their families, but you can see in the way Kieran Culkin plays his character that he's very complex. He's multi-layered, his performance, and you can see that he's also very self-aware of what he has done in his past and where he is surrounding him, and he has a different worldview than everybody else in the group, because they join a group that go on this Jewish experience, and you know, the guide takes them to the cemetery and to parts of Warsaw and to the camps and things like that, in the train and all of that. So I really enjoyed that, and I actually doesn't let you go, this film, just because of, it's a pleasure to just watch the actors. What did you thought, Buzz?
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Yeah, Culkin and Eisenberg are very good in this film, and I think the backdrop of the Jewish tour / Holocaust experience is kind of it is just that, it is kind of a backdrop to a film really about personalities, really, because Jesse Eisenberg in the film, you know, he plays what Jesse Eisenberg always seems to do, which is this kind of like quiet, reserved, very square, maybe, shall we say, character. Kieran Culkin is more of this free spirit, this kind of outlandish person. I think we've all met someone like Benji's character in this film at some point in our lives, and he says what he believes in, and he believes in a lot as well. It's very opinionated, and you kind of see this kind of clash of personalities, you know, because Jesse's got the job, he's got the wife, he's got the child, he's got the you know, the secure housing, whereas Benji, you know, he's just a pot smoker. He never really mentions if he's got a job or not. I'm pretty sure he's unemployed. You know, emotionally is a little bit unstable because of the death of the grandma and so forth and so on. hasn't got a partner to speak of, and is childless, so it really is a clash here of kind of ways of living, really. But the bond between them two on screen is fantastic, I think. And I think I actually have truly believed in it and I really bought into it. And there's a lot of emotion in this film, and also I like the kind of philosophical conversations. As you said, it's very dialogue heavy. That they talk a lot. Obviously, there's a play on words with the title. They talk a lot about what it is to have pain. Essentially, what is the pain of today as meritable as it was, for instance, for their grandmother, who went through hell essentially and managed to survive. And whereas today, we get upset if the bus is late or so forth and so on, and people are really caught up in their emotions and they don't really know how good they've got it. So these conversations are going on in the film, but actually, I kind of think it's almost like a black comedy. Would you say it's a bit of a dark comedy? There's not loads of laughs, but there is definitely a kind of oomph about the film, which is it's ready to have a joke, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely, yeah. It's almost like a satire, and that comes from, again, the complexity of the character. So, you'd see Benji's character being upset while they're traveling in first class by train to go and visit a Jewish camp. He's upset that he's traveling in a train in first class, and it's almost like he's so self-aware of his surroundings, as a Jewish person, he'll say, our grandmother is traveling in the same train, but in a different situation than we are. And then he's really revolted by that, almost like he wants to get off the train right there and then because of that, almost that contradiction in his head. It's a very fully self-aware, so he looks at the world in a different way, and he has these moments where he's really down low and has these depressing moments that can literally block you as a person, because David says, what are we supposed to do? Live in a cave, or what do you want to do? But he's got these moments when he's like almost like blocking himself from participating in the society. But then 2 scenes later, he's the most awesome person with everybody in the group, and everybody's like, how can you be so likable in one moment and then the next you're like completely switched off? And that just adds that. And again, the actor nails all those layers perfectly and gradually, and in the dinner scene and in the cemetery scene and things like that. So, and that just all goes in the writing, and it is like a play. It does happen in multiple scenes, but it is like a play just because it's all about the personality, the characters inside this group, and not just the two of them. But obviously, it's all wrapped up nicely in Chopin music, isn't it?
Yes, I was just going to mention that one of the great things about the film is, I think, would you say most of the soundtrack is Chopin, isn't it? And obviously that's kind of just a homage to the fact that Chopin's one of Poland's greatest people to come out of that country, essentially. So I think that's very well done. I don't think it's naff or anything, and I actually really enjoyed that part of the film. It flowed very, very well. But yeah, I think one of the other things is Benji has such an impact on people, doesn't he? As annoying as he is, a real pain that he is, he has an impact on everyone in the film, whereas David doesn't. And David is jealous of this. He may have a more structured life, but he's jealous, isn't he, that he can't have the same, inspiration, essentially. And I think the tour guide, one of the funniest scenes is when they leave the tour guide towards the end of the movie, and the tour guide gives Benji a big hug and says, you've really actually given me some great constructive criticism on the tour. And then he looks at David, he's like, yeah, see you later, David, and he just walks back away, doesn't even get a hug or anything. Absolutely fantastic. But I think so great soundtrack, and I think the ambiance of the film is done really well. I really like the scenes outside. I think it shows Poland for the beautiful architecture that it has, and I think that's really well done. I think there's one thing lacking in this film, Alex, that me and you both agree though, and it really doesn't provide the climactic kind of gut-wrenching tear-jerking scene, does it? It doesn't really get there, and it has 2 opportunities to do it, and I think maybe it might just be Jesse Eisenberg's performance, or it might just be the maybe rushed element to the film that doesn't. Do you know where I'm coming from?
Yeah, and I agree. It's almost like it's subdued, and maybe not just performances are there, as in the actors and the quality, and they with the dialogue you have on the page, they do as best as they can, as the dialogue allows you. But it almost felt like there's the writing got toned down so that they don't become too film-like, let's call it, and they're much more closer to real people than to film people, let's call it. And I felt like I want to see more from these guys' background and how that affected them into today's time during their trip and experiencing this trip, and the communication, the dynamic between the two of them. I wanted a bit more of that, and even with the performances, I was like, come on, show me more and give me a bit of hope and show me a bit of hope. But it's sort of like it's a snapshot of this trip, and the beginning, from the beginning to the end, we just get to know these people and see them develop their relationship. But towards the end, I didn't feel like Benji's in a better position than he was in the beginning, or so is David. They almost went through they went through a psychologist session through the film, thought about a lot of stuff, brought back a lot of emotions and problems in their life. But as soon as they walked out the office of the psychologist, which is the credit scene, that's it. They're back to their normal life. So it felt a little bit like, did you feel the same?
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's an almost kind of melancholy feel at the end of the film, especially with Benji. He ends up just kind of residing in the airport, doesn't he? He has the opportunity to go home with his cousin and his family, but he says, "Oh no, I'm going to stay in the airport," and I don't know what we're meant to feel with that. I like yourself, I imagine I kind of felt a little bit sorry for Benji's character. I feel like he hasn't learned anything in terms of being more maybe socially nuanced. So yeah, I as far as the ending goes, I didn't think that was a feel good ending. Not that every film has to be, but I didn't really felt like the characters maybe have learned anything from the experience we've just watched for the last hour and a half. In both scenarios, in a way, really. But other than that, top marks.
Thank you for watching our review of A Real Pain. And if you'd like to see a film that has very good acting, although not all the actors are professional actors, watch Sing Sing, which is our review right here. And we'll see you next week.